Okay, good evening, everyone. We're continuing with 3 minutes of Tehillim. We're up to Perek Kuf Mem Aleph, Psalm 141. So this Perek was composed by David HaMelech when he's fleeing from Shaul, who is trying to kill him. And David HaMelech realizes that enemies of David slandered him to Shaul, and he understands that he wants to kill him because of his desire to take revenge on David. So this is a constant theme throughout Sefer Tehillim. But what's fascinating is in this Perek, the Pasuk Gimel and Dalid, David HaMelech writes that although they slandered me, my enemies spoke ill against me, not just, okay, the guy's ugly, or maybe he can't make a nice free throw, or whatever it is. He's actually at his own life is at stake. He asks HaKadosh Baruch Hu to give him the power of self-control to not speak lashon hara, not speak negatively about his enemy. Shisa Hashem shamara lefi. Hashem, set guard over my mouth. Nitzra al dal sifasai. Watch at the doors of my lips. Al tatli bi ledavar ra. Don't let my mind turn to an evil matter. Lehis olel alilus peresha esishim pole oven. Don't let me think of practicing evil against those who have done evil to me, which is just an incredible amount of self-control. Obviously, if a person needs to protect themselves, that's for sure allowed. But David HaMelech is talking about a transcendence, a person who's able to transcend and not get stuck in the mud and try and overwhelmed with negativity and get into the battle of back and forth. He's able to he's asking Hashem to give him that strength, but he obviously understands that is the value that a person speaking negatively against me, I'm not going to reciprocate. And I would like to connect that with a pasuk right before that. In pasuk Beis, the pasuk says, Tikon tefilasi ketoras tafanecha. David HaMelech says to Hashem, consider my tefillah to be like incense before you. Ma'asas kapai minchas arev. Lifting up my hand as an offering in the evening. Minchas Arav, the Refarshim explain, is a reference to the Tefillah of Mincha. And I want to just read some lashon of the Torah when he explains the Tefillah of Mincha in Siman Reish Lamed Beis and Or Chaim. The Torah writes that in Shachris, we wake up in the morning, before we start our day, we know that we have to pray to Hashem, thank Him for giving us another day. And we know at Ma'ariv and Arvis, after everything's over, we have, sort of quiet. We have a time. We have a free moment. We dive into HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Mincha, he says, is a very, very difficult thing because Mincha, it's in the middle of the day. We have our obligations. We have our work. We have our parnas. We have our jobs. We have all the things that we're dealing with. I guess it depends on the time of year and when you're davening Mincha, because right now it's pretty much at the end of the day. But if you're davening Mincha in the middle of the day, it's very, very challenging. To stop what you're doing, lift up your hands, like the pasuk says, masas kapai, and to just put aside what you have, put your phone away, put your whatever you're dealing with away, and to daven into HaKadosh Baruch Hu. What's the connection between the next two psukim that I mentioned about lashon hara and this? Self-control. Self-control. That's what really frames the art tefillah. So that's what the Torah says, that the tefillah of mincha is very, very precious to Hashem, and He answers us, and He has a special koach of tefillah. A person is able to have that self-control and that self-restraint. So just to show one more source about this, the Orchas Tzadikim says that an anav, someone who's humble, who's ma'aver al midosav, which means they could have responded, they could have, they were in the right. Sometimes we lash out and we reciprocate when someone's doing something wrong to us because we're right, not because we're wrong. Well, we feel we're right, so I'm going to show that person, they're wrong, they were wrong to say that, they're off, they're wrong. But someone who's ma'aver al midosav doesn't take what he thinks is his right, but rather accepts and is anav and is humble, that person, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, answers his tefillah. So to put all this together, a person who comes to tefillah of mincha, or any tefillah, with a self-restraint, with a awareness that I'm not going to be looking on my phone, I'm not going to be thinking about whatever, I'm going to turn to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Similarly, with responding to people who are speaking negatively, if I have that self-restraint, I have that discipline, then my tefillos will be answered in a higher madriga than if I wouldn't be able to rise above that, and that's the same idea of the self-restraint and the discipline.